Anyway, welcome back to the GioMoShow. Giovanni Moshieri here in studio, and we got your football therapy, baby. The doctor is here. Sit down, relax, and we'll give you that football therapy that you need oh so badly, as I do too. So, week 3 of the NFL, we're going to get into that, but first let's talk about our Detroit Lions, as they really beat the Atlanta Falcons, the previously undefeated Atlanta Falcons, the previously feared and revered and best run game in the league and the best running back in the league and best mustaches in the league. Those Atlanta Falcons. Well, they came to Detroit and got a half dozen on the board and went home. That's right. The Detroit Lions, 20-6 was the final score in favor of the Lions, who, let's be real here, they were short a few guys. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, out. Taylor Decker, out. David Montgomery, out. Other O-line, I can't remember specifically, but a lot of the O-line, out. And, Amon-Ra St. Brown even had a steel toe in his shoe, or a steel plate in his shoe, which he's tough enough. It's not going to bother him, but still, Lions were kind of short on the things we needed. But we had everything that we did need. And what showed up in that game was the defense, baby. The defense that has shown improvement since last year. Or even, let's call it continuing the trend from the last 10 games of last year. That defense lit it up against the Falcons in front of a crowd that was, according to TJ Lang, was just as loud as they were in Seattle. The fans were there, and the fans were wild, and definitely helping the defense, I would think, and definitely screwing up the Falcons. That's what we do here. That's how we do business. Well, let's talk about that defense a little bit. And before, especially against the Seahawks, we got no pass rush, and the issue was, where's the pass rush? We had pressures on Mahomes in week 1. But then we got nothing against Seattle. Where's the pass rush? What's happening to Hutchinson? Where's he been? I even asked, where's Hutchinson? I was questioning whether that all the holding stuff that we've seen on Hutchinson and all the double teams and this, and that, how much of it, I asked the question, how much of that is on Hutchinson how much or how long until we just expect Hutchinson to get past that? Because a lot of elite edge rushers, they get that kind of treatment, but they still get that work done. Myles Garrett still gets that work done. Bosa, Watt, they get that work done. Parsons, you know what I mean? You think these players don't get doubled? So that was the question that I was asking, after the Seattle game. But what did I get when we faced the Falcons? And, in a game where I didn't even think there would be many opportunities for sacks because of how many times they run the ball. Well, we got 7 of them. We got a Baker's half dozen. I guess 7 sacks is a Baker's half dozen, we'll call it. So, and everybody was involved in this too. Let me just go down the stats here. So, you had Benito Jones. He started off the sacks for the Lions. Aleem McNeil, he got one. Derek Barnes, Charles Harris, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, or not Brian Branch. We'll get to him later. And Jack Campbell, these dudes got sacks. Hutchinson had 2, and the defense was just flying all over the place, and it was awesome to see. This is the defense that we were looking for, especially with all the free agency signings that we had. And even with that, we didn't even have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We didn't have the ski mask, which I guess we can't really use anymore, but still. We didn't have our best free agency pickup. We didn't have the leader on defense, and we still did. And we still did that damage. We did that work. And who was, besides Aiden Hutchinson, who led the Lions to that defensive victory? Who spread the message? Who sent the message to the entire team? Was Brian Branch, the B2 Bomber. That's a nickname that I'm particularly fond of. You look on his stats in the game. The rookie in the second round had 11 solo tackles. He didn't have any help. 11 solo tackles, 3 of them for a loss, 2 pass deflections as well. And let me tell you, there was that one hit I believe it was Tyler Algier, the backup but still talented running back for the Atlanta Falcons. I believe he put a big shoulder into Branch when he was going in for a hit. The very next play, meets him in the backfield, gets him proper form, shoulder in, wrapped up in the legs, and picked him up and slammed him down, WWE style. That's what Branch is about. He's about that work. And it was awesome to see. And it was, he even had a couple penalties he had one for horse collar tackling, which I thought was weird because it was, it happened to us and it wasn't called. And you barely see horse collar ever called. But, I mean, I'm not saying it was the wrong call, but still. I mean, just like in a general sense. But he got some of the penalties, and he was asked about it in the locker room. What did you think about those penalties? Do you think it hurt your team or whatever? And he's like, man, screw it. I'll get the penalty. I'll take the penalty. Because he's sending a message. Because he wants the next time that player goes in to remember it. To still feel it 3 plays later. To still feel that hit throughout the entire drive. To remember. And to next time come a little bit closer to flinching when he sees Brian Branch going in for the tackle. That's the message that he sends. That's what the big hitting, high flying, bring it to you safeties do in the NFL. And we got him as a rookie. Brian Branch, baby. What a game for him. Hutchinson, he was NFC Defensive Player of the Week. It's not Rookie of the Week anymore. He's just straight up the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. And with all due respect, Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons kind of took a break this week, I guess. But Hutchinson had 2 sacks, a strip sack. The second one was a strip sack at the end of the game that literally ended the game on the Falcons' last drive. Hutchinson batted it out of his hands, saw it, pointed at it, and dove on it to get it. He did that's the ultimate play if you're a defensive end. Is to end the game on a strip sack. That's what kids in their first year of football dream of when they play defense. That is the 7th grade football dream of yours truly. I played linebacker in middle school, but still. That's the defensive play for that position in the end of the game. Some other stars in that game. I thought Anzalone had a great game. On the first drive, I wrote this down during the game because I keep notes sometimes. And I noticed that first drive, that 3 and out that we gave the Falcons because we deferred and we were getting the ball in the second half. Anzalone had 2 of those tackles, and the first one on Bijan was a pop on the sideline. Whoo, man. Anzalone was bringing the hammer, set the tone on the first drive, set the tone that the rest of the team followed. I thought he had a great game. And he gets a lot of crap, Anzalone. And whatever. Yes, he's not Fred Warner. Come on. It's, for what he does and what he provides to this team is not only leadership, not only veteran leadership, but the dude's all over the field. He got the one sack against Geno Smith in week 2. That's a fact. That's not fiction. And he does a lot for this team. I see him as a pretty good linebacker. I wouldn't say great linebacker because to put it, in a tier. I wouldn't say great because great is Fred Warner, is Roquan Smith, is that those are great linebackers. Those are elite linebackers. Anzalone, pretty darn good linebacker, I would say. So he was bringing the hammer. He had two of the 3 tackles for that first 3 and out to set the tone. I thought that was awesome. Now, moving on to the offense, who stood out for the offense on the Detroit Lions. Without David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, rookie running back, had a pretty good game. He had 17 carries for about 80, almost 80 yards, about 80 yards. That's a pretty good game. But what I noticed, I wrote this down during the game as well, was that I thought Gibbs was a little bit, or I should say, it's not Gibbs' fault. I'm not saying he stinks. No, that's not what I'm saying. But the run game just really wasn't working for a lot of the game, is what I saw. Because Calais Campbell on the Falcons and the rest of that D-line, the linebackers. Falcons got a pretty good defense is what I took away from that game. And when we try to run the ball, when it's trying to do like a zone run, like trying to sweep it to the right, have all the linemen pull, it was just swallowed up pretty quickly. So the game, I was just like, man, Gibbs is just not really, giving it to him is what you got to do, yes, but it doesn't seem to be working very well. But as the game went on, yeah, he popped off. He got about a 20-yard run towards the end of the game. Forgive me, multitasking and typing here. But just throughout the game, I thought, like, man, they're not. It's not looking pretty, the run game, without David Montgomery, because Montgomery is awesome. Because Montgomery is a hammer, is a bowling ball that's shifty. There it is. 17 carries, 80 yards for Jahmyr Gibbs. Now I got the box score up. And, we saw a few carries. Craig Reynolds, he had 4 carries. Zonovan Knight had a carry, or had, 3 carries. So, I mean, we were just kind of waiting for David Montgomery. We'll talk about him in regards to tonight's game in a little bit. But Gibbs ended up having a solid game, almost 5 yards a carry. That long run I was talking about was a 21-yarder. Almost scored. And you know what? He had a good game. But I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for that open grass, that ultimate screen. You get a couple blockers and he takes it to the house. I'm waiting for the Alabama stuff. Which, number 12 overall, you're going to expect that. And I think that's what everyone is going to be expecting of Gibbs, is to be that explosive, to be that game opening, that, man, nothing's working, give it to him, and he'll make it happen kind of stuff. And he's not a bad running back. This was a game where we had to get by without Montgomery because he needed that 1-2 punch. So, still waiting on it, but great game by that rookie offensive player. But the other rookie offensive player that went off was the one and only Sam Laporta. Pretty sure he's Italian. I'm going with it. No one's told me he's not yet. But Sam Laporta, and my wild guess as to his Italian full name, Salvatore Laporta, because it just rolls off the tongue. 8 catches, 84 yards, and a 45-yard touchdown catch. Targeted 11 times, which is just one short of Amon-Ra St. Brown, to put it in relative terms. St. Brown had 12 targets. But Laporta, man, yards after catch. That's what tight ends are supposed to do. And he's doing it. That's what we needed from him. That's what and especially while we're waiting for Jameson Williams to come back. God, I hope he's good. God, I hope he's not washed. Or is rusty when he comes back. I just really want him to be good. But in the meantime, we got a mean tight end on our hands. Laporta can get after it, man. And I was really impressed with that game. I thought he did great. Targeted 11 times, man. That's St. Brown level for the Lions. I thought he just had a great game. And I'm excited to see what he does for the future. I'm excited for how Green Bay is going to be adjusting their defense after watching that tape to say, okay, we got to watch this kid more often. He's not just going to be throwing horizontal routes 5 yards short of the first down, like he's been the first couple games. He's not going to be throwing a 2-yard pass on 3rd and 6. You know what I mean? That kid can go deep. That kid can do it. So that was awesome. And the Falcons, ouch. Everyone, like I was saying at the beginning of this football therapy segment on the GioMoShow, was that the Falcons came in red hot. Falcons were undefeated. I mean, so was the rest of their division, but still. By the way, that entire division took a loss this week, which I thought was funny. But that rushing attack was sublime. It was like Ken and Barbie. Sublime! But this week, against the Lions, who doubled down on that run game, obviously you're going to have to, he held the Atlanta rushing attack to 44 yards on 20 carries. That's the whole team. That's Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier and Desmond Ridder and Kyle Pitts, who got -4 rushing yards somehow. That team didn't even crack half a football field of rushing yards. That's what we did. That's what our guys do. That was just awesome. And what was even surprising to me was how little the Falcons ran the ball in general. Just 20 carries. They threw. It was almost an even split. They threw the ball. Forgive me. That's not correct. They had Ritter throw the ball 38 times. He had 38 attempts, and was 21 for 38, with a passer rating of 70.2. It was weirded out. It was weirded out, and everyone else I've heard in the media was weirded out about it too. They didn't really run the ball as much. It's not pretty at first, but as you keep going, as you keep pounding the rock, it's supposed to start working eventually. But they just kind of went away from it, and they made Desmond, and I wish this was 10 p.m. because I have a funny nickname for Ritter, but it starts with SH and ends in itter. But, they had him throw it so much. I was really surprised. But whatever Arthur Smith decides to do, I guess, whatever makes its 20-6 Lions win, I'm fine with it. All right, we're coming up on our time here, so let's hurry it up, shall we? Let's get the rest of your football therapy in for the rest of NFL's Week 3. We're not going to go through every game, but this week was wild. Let's stay within division here. Bears and Vikings are done. Dead, gone, see you next season. They're both 0-3. That is sublime for the Lions. That means only Green Bay's in the way, and that's why tonight's so important. Again, we'll get to that towards the end of the show in a few minutes, as we're almost done here. But the Bears, they're looking pretty bad. And I have a quote from my, the GioMoShow's resident Bears fan, Angelo Grappito. We got his thoughts on the state of the Bears so far. That's been a weird week in and of itself. They're talking about FBI raids and defensive coordinator resigning, and that stuff was weird. And then they have to go face the Taylor Swift Chiefs. Like, dude, come on, that blows. But I asked Mr. Grappito for his statement on the Bears, and it is the following. Quote, "Oh man, that's a lot of stuff, lol. I think it starts with ownership. They just don't know how to run a football team. I think, honestly, everything there is an issue right now. And it's a combination of so many issues that's making it so rough. The team needs to clean house. Neither coordinator is doing well. And the defense, and for a defensive coach like Matt Eberflus, he's run a horrible defense. I know there are people who love to say that you've got to give the GM more time, but I'd like Poles gone. I would like Poles gone too. Even if you're willing to believe that he just hasn't been able to build a roster in his vision yet, the whole thing with the DC is a massive red flag. Poles shouldn't be hiring people who end up getting raided by the FBI. There's questions on whether the FBI thing is true or not, but anyway, back to the quote. And even on a purely football basis, he hasn't been good. Bears have the opportunity to use two likely very high draft picks. They need to start fresh with that. One of their biggest issues has been half measures. They'll hire a coach, then a GM, then fire the coach, but the GM has to get to pick the guy, so the timelines never line up. They keep putting half the team in lame duck positions that make it difficult to evaluate anyone, difficult to hold people accountable, and difficult for anyone to even build their team and their vision in the first place. They, in my opinion, need to fully reset. Clean house, hire a good GM, and let the GM build a team without ownership influence. And they need to get rid of the stupid Bill Polian group that they had helping them make decisions on hiring. That's a very long-winded written explanation. I don't know how well it goes over text, but that's kind of the general gist of it. So thank you, Mr. Grappito. That is your state of the Bears. So getting back to the GioMoShow here. Where did my notes go? Found them. So, that's the Bears. They lost bad to the Chiefs. Vikings choked against the Chargers. Isn't that an oxymoron? That's not something you see every day. In the battle of whose season dies, both Chargers and Vikings, playoff teams last year, start 0-2. They're in Minnesota. Whose season's going to die? And it's Minnesota's, baby. Now, Chargers were begging to lose that game with that horrible fourth down call, and I'm sure you've heard plenty of coverage of it throughout the week, so I won't dwell on it too much. But, man, like, they were begging to lose that game. But the Vikings wanted to lose that game more. That last play of the game, they didn't know what to do. They were trying to get a play call. The clock was ticking. They won't spike it. They had no idea what they were doing, and Hawkinson is targeted and gone. I love seeing Hawkinson. I'm pretty sure he got stripped. I'm pretty sure Hawkinson had a fumble against the Chargers. So I love seeing not only that happen, but to see our rookie tight end Sam Laporta show up and show out. So Vikings are gone, and the Chargers survive at least. And for the Packers last week, it looked like gravestones for them too against the Saints. It was 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Saints lead in Lambeau. Derek Carr got hurt, yes. But that's 2 touchdowns and some change. Saints lost the game. Packers came back from a 17-0 deficit in the fourth quarter. That's 15 minutes. All it took was 15 minutes for them to come back. Man, it was impressive. I'm split between whether that was a good Packers win or that was a bad Saints loss. Obviously, it could be both, but it gives now a lot more excitement to tonight's game, which I keep teasing that I'll talk about, and I will in a few minutes. But we got a couple upsets to go through. But Packers are looking not bad, not totally bad. So to round up this week. Texans, they upset the Jaguars. That was weird. Colts upset the Ravens with Gardner Minshew. That was weird. Cardinals upset the Cowboys. That was weird. And the Browns stomp all over the Titans. Myles Garrett was followed by 2 tight ends, and it was hilarious. Myles Garrett all season has been just playing with the opposition. It's hilarious. And what's left? I'm curious. There's something left. Something crazy happened week 3. Oh, well, I guess I'll just move on. 70-20. I'm just kidding. We're talking about the Dolphins. Of course we are. 70-20. I don't need to go into the stats. The score speaks for itself. Broncos gave up. Dolphins couldn't help but score is what it seemed like. They were trying everything. I love the meme that was someone dressed up as Mike McDaniels in the crowd with a fake play sheet, and the meme reads Mike McDaniels is literally just having fans call the plays. He's saying hey, choose a play, I'll run it. That's what it felt like in that game. That was just insane. Tua became the new Mr. Unlimited. That's Tua's now. So, and there's the talk of the Dolphins decided not to go for the record with a field goal, which they easily could have gotten. And they chose not to. They chose to keep it at 70 to become the second highest scoring and the second most yards, yada, 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 instead of the first. But for me, you missed out, dude. Dolphins missed out on unbelievable history by not going for that field goal. And obviously the reasoning is oh, that would be unsportsmanlike. Oh, that wouldn't be good for the game. Dude. You scored 70 points, and now you're talking about sportsmanship? You gotta be kidding me. I think they should have just done it. The Broncos are dead anyway, so what's the difference between a 73-20 loss to a 70-20 loss? It's not a big difference. Okay, it's beating a dead horse, literally. Get it? Anyway, we're running short on time. Here is my quick preview of the Lions and Packers. And I might just record this separately and release it later on the GioMoShow's YouTube and Spotify, as part of your football therapy. I might just do that. But to quickly give it to the live audience here on 88.3 FM WXOU, on the GioMoShow, Lions got to win this one. This is for the division. This one sets the stage for the rest of the season. This is a big game. This is prime time. This is a division rival. This is your chance to prove that Jordan Love is not the answer for what the Packers need. They need to prove that Jordan Love and that new regime is no longer kings of the North. This is your chance to do it. In their house, on prime time. The next time you play them is going to be in your house on prime time on Thanksgiving. Awesome. But you got to do it now. Get it while the getting's good. You play Carolina next week. Remember that. Green Bay is very, very injured. Green Bay's missing David Bakhtiari. They're missing, they have a limited Christian Watson and Aaron Jones. They have a injured Jair Alexander. There's a lot missing on that team. Jordan Love has been making it work, though. That's the thing that kind of scares me, though. I'm a little bit nervous coming into this game. It's the Packers at Lambeau in prime time. History shows that that's probably a favorite matchup for the Packers. And I'm pretty sure the line's like Packers like 1.5, I think. Maybe it's plus 1.5. I don't know I forget who's favorite, but it's close. But Lions, they get Taylor Decker back. They get David Montgomery back. They're coming off that monster defensive game, proving that injury to CJ is bad, but not terrible. We're built for it. We're built to last. And not only that, but you're lucky this year and you get to play them at the end of September. It's not the frozen tundra of Green Bay like it usually is, even though it's frozen tundra is an old Lombardi thing, and obviously it's not as crazy as it used to be. But this is your time to shine. This is what you got to do. Lions are humming, and they got to keep humming in Green Bay. Shut them. You got to come close to the defense. You got to sack Jordan Love. You got to bother him. You got to rattle him. You got to force them to run the ball, which we've been good at stopping. That's what you got to do, man. I think the Lions are going to put up enough points. I think it's not horrible weather conditions, so like golf can only play in a dome. I don't think that's a big deal. And we got David Montgomery back, dude. That one's huge. That one is he is just so good with this team, David Montgomery. He's a bowling ball with surprising shiftiness. Well, I guess between the tackles is what you could say. And gets it feels like 5 yards every time. So we're running low on time here on the GioMoShow. I'm really excited for this game. 8:15, Fox 2. Screw Amazon. It's a local game. You can watch it on Fox 2. And let's get ready to roll, man. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a great game. And you'll get more in-depth thoughts on the GioMoShow on YouTube and Spotify. Or just YouTube. Excuse me. Just the GioMoShow YouTube channel. You get a more in-depth analysis and prediction and feelings going into the Green Bay game, as we are now out of time here on the GioMoShow. This has been Giovanni Moscieri, Sports Media Director of WXOU. You can find the GioMoShow at any time, YouTube and Spotify. We're going to get back to your regularly scheduled program, and we'll see you next week, Thursdays at 6 on WXOU. This is the GioMoShow.